Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Leyla Dallas Multipass.
And this week, we dive into the 1997 sci-fi film, The Fifth Element. Before we see if ancient aliens can teach us about feminism, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
When were you first introduced to the Fifth Element? Because for me, I only, previously to this episode, exclusively knew about it through Mabim Bam references.
I watched it on TV as a child in Russia. So, like, this movie is a core early childhood memory for me.
That's wild. This is a childhood movie for you. Not that it's like especially, I mean, you know, there's some sex stuff in there, but like it's a very weird time. Maybe also the best time to watch The Fifth Element, when you are still forming your personality. I think that's actually perfect. That's great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, it was either that or watching telenovelas with my grandma. So like, I was exposed to sex scenes all the time, and I just thought nothing of it, and no one talked to me about it, and it was fine.
Okay, yeah, and that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're talking about The Fifth Element. We, if you're like a really close listener, you probably knew that we were going to talk about Heavenly Tyrant by Sharon J. Shao. And the long and short of it is neither me nor Leyla liked it very much. And that would have been kind of a bummer episode to release. So we're not going to talk about it. Instead, we're going to talk about this, which I think is a much... I mean, listen, I don't know that I liked this movie. I did... I'm glad we watched it, though. There was a lot of fun stuff in there. There's so much happening, though. I have so many problems with it that I can't say I thought it was a good movie. I did think it was fun, though, and I think that's important.
It's not a good movie. It's a great movie. It's just a bunch of spaghetti at the wall, and I think reading your criticisms of it in your notes was really funny to me because this movie, I think, is a great example of what you and I are looking for when we're watching something. Like, it's the clearest dividing line I've ever seen in our experiences of like watching, because you were like talking about structural problems with the movie and like the fact that the like big MacGuffin evil orb thing is like not a threat for most of it, and how weird it is, like how Lilu learns English and stuff. Meanwhile, I'm watching it and I'm having a delightful time because I'm not paying attention to any of that shit, because I know that this movie is not about the plot. This movie is about a vibe, and I'm vibe surfing the whole thing. And I'm just like, this serves cunt and that serves cunt and this is fun and this is beautifully crafted and I love this practical effect. And I'm just like, hands up in the air going, wee! While you're actually trying to like engage with it as like a film. Both approaches are valid and good, but it's just really funny to like, I think maybe longtime listeners of Mortified who like actually pay attention to our personas might pick up on this already. Like, I feel like I've picked up on it over time, right? The things that you kind of like in the media that we engage with versus what I generally gravitate towards. Even though our tastes like overlap. But it's just, this was the clearest example of our approaches to like new content.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at the director, who is Luc Paul Maurice Besson. Luc Besson, the only movie, I mean, there's a couple movies that I recognize from him besides, I mean, yes, like firstly, that this was directed by a Frenchman, 100% makes more sense to me. As soon as I like finished watching the movie, I looked this up. I was like, oh, this is a Frenchman's, satire of future America. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit like, okay,
it explains
all of the like structural
McDonald's product placement a lot.
I mean, yeah. Listen, you get McDonald's product placement in every, throw a dart in an American movie and you get McDonald's product placement. But What I actually am looking at that he directed is something called Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets in 2017, which, you know, is similar to what's that Jupiter Ascending, right? By the Matrix sisters.
Was that a Wachowski's joint? Yeah.
Yes, at least one of them was a part of it, but yeah. And I've not seen Valerian, but I think that's something we should consider watching because, like, I think it's another one of these, like, kind of silly sci-fi movies. Everything I heard about it was that it was bad, but, like, now I kind of want to see it having watched The Fifth Element and be like, okay, let's contrast these two. Let's see what Bessan's doing. But yeah, it's really, it is very funny to me that he, you know, 20 years ago made a movie about a silly space opera, and then presumably in 2017 was like, let me do that one more time. You know, we had a good time.
When did this movie come out?
1997. So actually
30 years ago.
Apart. That can't be right.
It's closer to 30.
So 97 plus
10 is 2007.
Okay, 30 years to us. I'm talking about Valerian, which is 20 years apart. But it is kind of grim to think about, how this is nearly a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah.
But I guess we're also over 30. So
30, yeah. My pitch to you is that our next franchise is The Matrix. And then we've already done Jupiter Ascending, and then we can do Valerian somewhere in there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good pitch. I think Matrix will be really good for many reasons. Can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's my turn to do the plot summary.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, this will be... Or is it yours? I feel like it's yours, but I should try to do it anyway because I think you remember more of the movie than I do.
Well, I did just watch it 15 minutes ago. So.
Right. So... we start in the year 1914 in Egypt. We are on the cusp of the Great War breaking out, and we got some classic archaeologists doing archaeologist stuff. There's what appears to be some sort of Englishman, and he's hired some sort of assistant, and there's also a little Egyptian boy who is holding up a mirror to reflect the sun so they can look inside this Egyptian pyramid without any sort of distraction. And there is a priest there, and the priest is talking to them about their discoveries. And the archaeologist is like, damn, ancient aliens, they had some stuff to say about elements and a great evil coming to destroy the earth. And it can only be stopped by a cool weapon, which combines the four elements and then a secret fifth element. And everyone's like, damn, that's crazy. The priest briefly tries to poison them, but because he's working for the ancient aliens, and then the aliens show up. Do you remember why the aliens show up?
No, I don't.
They just do.
It's so vibey though. They show up. They're big. They got big, stupid armor on. And my favorite part is because again, this was right before the Great War. One of the archaeologists who goes, "Are you German?"
Right.
They shake their heads. It's really
very funny. They look like the Vogons from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie. They're big, ovular, heavily... I don't even want to say armored, but they're carrying all sorts of equipment with them. I think one of them gets shot at one point, and it seems to hurt them, but like not really. It's a very strange sequence, but it does kind of set you up for what this movie is about, which is like... humans interacting with aliens in kind of a strange way. But basically the aliens who are the Mondoshaans or Mondoshiwans, they show up and they're like, hey, we need to take this weapon away. We'll be back though for when the great evil shows up. And they're like, hey, priest guy, you just got to train people to know about the elements. And he's like, okay. And then we cut 300 years in the future.
Well, I think the thing that this sequence sets us up for, other than the plot stuff that you just explained, is three things. One, the tone of the movie, which is like, it's sci-fi, but it's also funny. Like, this movie does not shy away from comedic beats at all. And I think one of them is like, there's this little kid who is like helping hold up a reflector panel so one of the archaeologists can see what he's doing. And every 3 minutes, he's like falling asleep because he's a little kid in Egypt and it's hot and he's bored with these old English people. And so the archaeologist just keeps yelling, Aziz, light! And the other archaeologist is taking a tally of how often he says it. And when the aliens show up, they shine their giant LEDs at the wall. And he goes, that's better, without like turning around to see why the panel is so bright all of a sudden. So that's one. Two, it sets us up for all the like practicals in the movie because the sets are really practical. Like we never see the inside of this temple ever again, but it's got like moving walls and inscriptions. It's got like a whole statue. It's crazy. And then the third thing it sets us up for is just that every single actor in this movie is putting their whole pussy into their performance in such a great way. That priest, we never see him again. Obviously, he's dead, right? We cut 300 years in the future. The devastation in his face when he's like trying to talk down one of the archaeologists when he's interacting with the aliens, who's like big and clunky and slow, and one of them like doesn't make it out of the temple before the big wall closes. The like genuine care that he treats this interaction with is so like he looks devastated. It is so charming, and that's the whole movie. Practical sets. Everyone's committed to the fucking bit. And it is just, like, very funny for no reason when it could have been a very self-serious, which I think maybe was the flaw with Jupiter Ascending, is it was very, like, self-serious the entire time. Like, it wanted me to take, I keep wanting to call him Chad Michael Murray. He's not Chad Michael Murray. What's his name?
Channing Tatum. You're close. You got the CH.
Yeah. Chad Michael Murray, a Buffalo King, by the way. Shout out to hometown hero. But Channing Tatum is a werewolf on roller skates, and Mila Kunis can control bees, and I'm supposed to take that seriously. Like, you know, so I like that this movie is just kind of like, it knows this. Everyone knows what movie this is, especially Gary fucking Oldman, who we'll talk about.
Yeah. I kept making the comparison to Star Wars while I was watching this because, yeah, like, I think, not even necessarily, but like, whenever you think about big franchise films that are trying to like, emulate the same style as each other, right? This comes out a couple years before the Star Wars prequels start running again. I keep thinking about how Star Wars is in that same mode. It takes itself completely 100% seriously, even though there's a bunch of goofy shit. And I think that might just be a personal thing. Maybe that's because of the kind of high drama. I grew up watching Star Wars. Maybe it's because I was raised Catholic, where you do a bunch of goofy shit very seriously. But I think that the Fifth Element is working in that mode in a way that lets you know that it's fun. And I think I just personally struggle with movies that aren't taking themselves seriously. And then again, when we talk about Plava Laguna, the movie takes itself very seriously at that point. So we'll talk about it. But yeah, obviously overall tone very light. But there's some parts, and I think the best parts are when the movie is completely straightforward. But
yeah.
Let's go to New York City. Where it's 2020. 2214, all sorts of flying cars. New York is the same, except that all the cars are flying. So I hope that we as a society never develop flying cars. There's no way the human race survives if we give people flying cars. We're already so bad at driving regularly. I don't think that is an invention we should do. Anyway,
I always say that we shouldn't even have self-driving cars. And everyone's like, oh, first of all, I'm not outsourcing my decision-making to a computer. If I'm going to get in a car crash, let it be my fucking fault. Or the fault of one of these batshit insane Maryland drivers that I have to contend with now every fucking day. Highest accident rate in the country, I'm pretty sure. It's some shit like that. We have insane insurance rates because these people have a death wish. Anyway, but also, I have realized through driving here that I cannot be in charge of a self-driving vehicle because it will just enable me when someone else does something stupid as hell. It will just enable me to, instead of doing what I usually do, which is this like very like dramatic shrug squinch of like are you fucking joking? That's my default expression when someone does something stupid. It will enable me to stick my entire torso out of my driver's side window and do that to their face so that I know they see me. So we should not. I will get shot if we get self-driving cars, let alone flying ones.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to. I'm looking forward to when we see you here in a couple of weeks. Me and my wife are going to go visit Leyla. Not looking forward to the trek across the East Coast where us in, relatively chill Midwestern traffic typically will have to fight with the notoriously worst drivers in the entire country. So looking forward for that.
Well, yeah, at least here you have a chauffeur. So yeah, that'll be fine. But I can't help you outside of Baltimore.
Yep. So the president of Earth is dealing with this situation because a big orb showed up one day. Mm-hmm. And the orb was giving Haunted, was giving Nefarious, was giving ill-omened.
Yes.
Looming. A lot of looming. I don't know if the orb itself was emitting weird sounds, but it was definitely a bad vibes time. Mm-hmm. So the president of Earth was like, just shoot it. Just unload on it.
And how American is that?
Listen, we are recording this on September 13th, 2025.
I'd leave it there.
And
leave it there.
That's it.
Yep.
We both are. Yep.
Mm-hmm, yep. Hey, the president's black. Ahead of its time.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, 10 years before Obama got elected.
We keep talking about something happened in the fucking Bush era, and like the reaction, again,
we are recording this on September 13th.
And we never forget. And the reaction to 9/11 did something awful to the culture of this country, because this is the second Bruce Willis movie we watched, and they have all been more diverse and they've aged poorly. I think this one especially has aged poorly in terms of how it treats Lilu as like a woman character, which we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. But like, it is still more progressive than most of the shit I watched in the 2000s. So like, come on.
Yeah, it's just bonkers to see how much diversity in Hollywood that we've lost and continue to lose. I mean, there are days where I feel like we're doing okay. I'm thinking about Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was really nice to see all these Asian people, but yeah, it's just a struggle. It's just so weird to see what's happened over the last couple of decades.
We shot the orb.
Earth is trying to shoot the orb, and the orb is getting bigger every time he shoots it. And the admirals are like, "Hey, President, are we sure about this?" And then I think the orb eats his space battle cruisers. I don't remember.
Yes,
but it's bad.
Yes.
Okay. And the president's like, "Well, that seems bad." And a priest named Vito Cornelius shows up, and he's like, "Mr. President, I work for the ancient aliens, the Mondoshawans. There's only one way to defeat the orb, and they have it. It's this weapon. They're coming to Earth right now. They're going to give it to us, and we'll defeat the orb." Unfortunately, immediately after he says that, the Mondoshawan's ship gets attacked by pirates, and their cargo's mostly destroyed, except for a single armored hand. And we don't know exactly who. Actually, I think we immediately find out who hired these raiders. It's a space billionaire named Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg.
Gary.
Played by Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman with a little shit fucking goatee underneath his lip to kind of give Hitler mustache, but under the lip, and a fuck ass wig and a plastic pinstripe suit, and he knows exactly what movie he's in.
He is having so much fun. He is being the biggest, most hammy villain imaginable. With a
foghorn, leghorn ass. What is with the accent? What is Space Georgia like? I need to know.
It's apparently, pretty profitable because he's an arms salesman. Mm-hmm. He sells these pirate raider guys who are called the what are they called? They have like it sounds like Mandalorians, but it's not. It might be Mira Luke. Nope, that's also a Star Wars thing. I got Star Wars on the brain. What are they called? This doesn't matter.
Aliens.
Mangalores. They're called the Mangalores. And he hires them as mercenaries. They bring him this box that was on the ship, and he gets all upset because the box doesn't have any of the rocks in it that he was supposed to have. In exchange for their services, he sells them guns, which are just a gun that does 8 things. It's a gun that's like it shoots projectiles, but it also shoots nets. It shoots fire. It has like an ice beam. It's so funny that it's just like this weird multi-tool. And then also he put a bomb in all of them. So like, I don't know what's happening here with Zorg, but he's just like a generic evil villain. He's also working for the Orb. Like the Orb calls him on his cell phone and gives him instructions. And he's like, yes, my Orb. Whatever you say, my Orb.
There's a moment, so when he blows up the aliens there with his bomb gun, it's such a hammy shot because he literally leaves the building with his little minion, and they stand right outside where the explosion is going to be like 4 meters away, and he lights up a cigarette and does the cool guys don't look at explosions, just facing away from it, smoking a cig. Cunt.
He says something like, he says something like, you aren't true killers, because a true killer would have looked at the little red button at the bottom of the gun, which is such a stupid sentence, but like, he's having so much fun that it's fucking fine. It's whatever.
When he does the gun demo, so the whole thing is that the gun, no matter what direction you face, the bullets will seek the target, and so what he does is he does a full 360, like actively firing bullets, like as if he was gonna hit the aliens, but the bullets just go behind him to the target, and I'm like, you practice that. That's choreographed.
Yeah, you gotta know.
What a professional.
You gotta try that a couple times before you do it in a showing.
Yeah, well, I should hope so. Especially saying that, especially with a 2025 lens, now that Alec Baldwin was arrested for manslaughter on a set. Gotta be careful.
Yeah. Yep. The Earth scientists for the president are able to recover this hand from the crash site. Mm-hmm. And using Earth science magic, they are able to reverse engineer the passenger. And they reverse engineer a woman named Leyla. She has, as you described in your notes, a red Party City wig.
Mila Jovovich really got put through the ringer in this movie.
I hope she made $100 million for this role, because they made her do some shit.
Yeah, they did. They put her. You know what I will say? So her little outfit in the beginning of the movie is literally just like strips of fabric, right? Because it's like heat bandages that they put on her just to cover her private bits. There are some equal opportunity slutty cutouts though, because like Bruce Willis is wearing this fuck-ass orange tank top for a lot of the movie, and when he turns around, like, all down his spine are, like, slutty little cutouts. Ruby Rod, who we'll meet later, has, like, this big open like, everyone's just kind of slutty. And I'm like, it could have been worse. It could have,
Right. We've got equal opportunity horrors here, and we love to see that.
Yeah, very French. Again, the French... Everyone's serving. And that's, now that I know the director is French, really a lot of this movie is making sense to me.
Yeah. So, we're in the show notes. We're going to link a video by Pop Culture Detective called Born Sexy Yesterday.
Yes.
Here, right. This is the problem with Leyla in many ways, is that she is, she's literally born today. She's been on Earth for like a total of 24 hours by the time the movie's over. She acts for a lot of it. She acts pretty naively, like a child learning about the world. But she is an adult woman. And Corbin Dallas, Bruce Willis, who, to be fair, we are, 15 minutes into the movie and we haven't seen Bruce Willis yet, I don't think, which is really good. I think that kicks ass. But he pursues her like an adult woman, which, a pop culture detective does a much better job of breaking down this trope, but it's gross. It's weird. That said, we gotta, we'll talk about it, but
yeah,
I don't love how Lilu is treated.
Well, so I think this movie, we can get into it more, but it's not. So I've seen some shit in my time, and I think the worst. I think the worst Born Sexy Yesterday I've ever seen is the anime Chobits or whatever. Because literally, it's like this guy has an android, and in the first episode, to turn her on, the button to power on this robot that he's found in the trash, which I'm pretty sure is what happens, is in her underwear. It's in her little private bits. So, and she is very Born Sexy Yesterday and has no agency and has to rely on the main character who owns her to get around. Lilu comes with a bunch of knowledge and knows she's a supreme being, and also absorbs information very quickly, sometimes in a not very logical way, right? She could read English magically. That's fine. Sure, why not? You could read. Great. Good start, girl. And she has a lot of agency, and she speaks this ancient alien tongue that no one else can understand. And so she suffers more from there's that clip of Sofia Vergara's character that goes around from Modern Family all the time, where she's in a fight with Jay, her husband in the show, and she goes, "You don't even know how smart I am in Spanish," because her English is a little bit stilted. And
right.
I see more of that immigrant naivete angle on I'm not absolving this movie of the Born Sexy Yesterday thing, because it does do it, but it's not as she does have agency, and she is smart, and she has a personality. She's aggressive. She's quick to fire. She, picks up how to use a gun. She makes her own decisions. But does she have the full context for all her interactions? Not necessarily, but she also doesn't have to rely on Bruce Willis's Corbin Dallas as much as other characters in that trope have to rely on their male cat counterparts to help them do big sick shit.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, she is a superhuman.
Yes.
She does have super strength, which is interesting. She, as soon as they come to talk to her, she murders someone and jumps out of the skyscraper and into Corbin Dallas's cab. At this point, we should probably introduce who Corbin Dallas is. Major Corbin Dallas. He's retired from the world military. Unclear what the governmental setup is. And, he's a cool cop who doesn't play by the rules and wears slutty orange tank tops. Yeah. I think the best part of the introduction for Corbin is the part where somebody comes to his house to try to either collect on debts or rob him. It's unclear. It's to rob him. But he hears the doorbell, and he looks outside his porthole, and he just sees the empty street. He's like, okay, weird. And he opens the door, and when he opens the door, there's a guy who has a hat with a picture of an empty street on it, which is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's big too. It's it's 3 times the width of his head. It's hysterical. It's really good. It kicks ass. And he, tries to rob Corbin, and then Corbin immediately does some military shit to him. He's like, okay, so firstly, you're not holding your gun right. You haven't primed it yet. And then, he's like, why don't you go ahead and prime it? And then while he's doing this, he pulls out a bigger gun. He's like, just give me your gun. And he puts it in a pile of other guns of people who have tried to rob him, which is very funny. And that's a pretty good introduction to who Corbin is. And, we hear him, he's a taxi driver now. He used to be, a military pilot or special forces or whatever. But now he drives a taxi. He has a point system on his taxi. So he's only got 4 points left on his license before he loses it, which is bad. And he's talking to his boss, who I guess he also leases the cab from. It's not, I think it's some sort of share system, but his whole deal, he's like, I just need to find a woman. And I mean, that's kind of his whole deal, right? That's his kind of main motivation.
he just wants to get his life together. And his mom's calling him all the time, which is also really funny. Love the mother. You never see her, but she's on the phone fucking constantly, accusing Corbin of avoiding her. Yeah, I don't know if he has motivation so much as he's just waiting for something to happen to him. And I mean, to be fair, it does. It does do that.
Yeah, I mean, she does literally fall into his car, and the cops are looking for her, and he helps her escape the cops. There's this sequence is largely dependent on CG, but it's still got a lot. The cab itself is physical. When you get these interior shots of the taxi, that's all constructed, which I think is really cool. When they escape the cops, they arrive. They go back to. She asks him to take her to Vito Cornelius, because that's the only person she knows on the planet. So Corbin takes her to Cornelius, who is that priest, and she has to recover at some point. She has to take a nap, and Cornelius explains to Corbin what's going. Or he doesn't even explain. He's just like, "Thank you for bringing her. Could you go wake her up?" And Corbin does go to kiss her to wake her up, which is bad. And she gets very mad at him, and she basically says, "Never without my permission," in the alien language, which I don't know if it's weird. It's not the thing that you would say to a guy you just met who tried to kiss you. I don't think.
It was the 90s.
It was the 90s.
Remember, this is still height of people think the Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, kiss me to wake me up from my eternal slumber thing is hot, We're still working on consent in the 90s.
Yeah, and in the 2020s. We've come a long way, but yeah, all of this is taken with a grain of salt. But it is still weird. It's worth pointing out. At this point, Vito is like, "All right, thanks for bringing her. You got to go," and he kicks him out of his apartment. And Cornelius begins kind of filling in Lilu on her mission. He gives her... Oh, go ahead.
Lilu... Well, he starts giving Lilu access to slideshows. And Lilu
That's
picks
what I was going to say.
up
He gives her Wikipedia. He gives her alphabetical Wikipedia. They starts with the English alphabet letter A, and she just starts going through it. We get a shot of her learning about Bruce Lee, and she downloads that information like she's in the Matrix to her brain. She's like, "Oh yeah, kung fu," while
eating 2 whole chickens.
Yeah, she's double barreling these chickens. Just nom nom nom. It's
protein
really good,
maxing.
Actually.
It's an incredible sequence. It's really good. She goes to the little food thing because it looks like a microwave, but it generates food. I guess somehow whatever. Future space
food.
Time. And she's while she's closing the microwave door, she goes, chicken, good. I'm like, yeah! It's just really funny.
Yeah. It's much more endearing when she's a little gremlin, when she's being a naive girl, that kind of sucks. But a lot of the time she is just kind of hee hee hee, which I think is very fun. Corbin goes home to have a little daydream. His boss calls him and he asks Corbin what happened to my car, and Corbin's like, I had a affair that I couldn't ignore. And his boss is like, "Oh yeah, tell me about her." And he's like, 5'9", perfect skin, blue eyes, something like that. Which is just, again, I know this is all part of the pastiche or camp of this film. Just a wild thing to say to your boss, though.
Well, they're also friends, right? Because they knew each other from basic training. Because at one point, first of all, Corbin has a cat, which I love too. Corbin is a little white cat named Sweetie. And at one point, she comes back in from outdoors, and he goes, "Hi, Sweetie," and he's on the phone with Finger. Is the guy's name Finger? I can't remember.
I think it is Finger.
He's on the phone with Finger, and he's like, "Hi, Sweetie," and he goes, "You haven't called me that since basic training." So they know each other from their army days and stuff. So they're buddies. Right. But I love that scene because he just falls back on his bed to be 5'9", blue eyes, perfect skin. And you pointed out when you were commenting on my notes, he's practically kicking his feet back and forth. It's just endearing. Bruce Willis gets to again, we saw this in Die Hard, but he gets to feel things. And like later we'll talk about the opera and how like affected he is by the opera. Like, I hate the 2000s. Look what they took from us.
We get more return every time we watch a movie that's outside of our typical movie watching range, which is why, you know, we embarked on this project to watch more older stuff, but we're out here. At this point, Lilu kind of tells Corbin or Cornelius, and simultaneously the Zorg is learning about the location of the stones that are needed for the weapon. They've been entrusted to the superstar diva Plava Laguna, who lives on the luxury vacation planet of Floston. The Earth government, I don't know exactly how they figured this out at the same time, but basically they engineer for Corbin, because he has prior military service, to go to this planet and retrieve the stones.
They rigged a contest.
I think. That's what I thought. Yeah, they either rigged it or bribed it or whatever. But they, make it so Corbin wins this contest, and then I don't know if they show up at his apartment first or if it's Lilu and the priest. But
they show up first. He shoves them in the fridge and puts them underground. Then Lilu and the priest show up. He shoves Lilu in the shower and the priest on his bed that saran wraps itself, and he makes them go away. And then the aliens and the cops show up. And there's a whole firefight. What a sequence.
It's crazy. It's such a strange... I want to say, this movie is about 2 hours long. This is about an hour into this movie, I think. We haven't really... We're still technically in Act 1.
Yes.
Right? We are still trying to get the hero on the journey, which I think is so, this is why the 3-act structure, the way my understanding of it, at least in, the West, is flawed in some ways, right? Because, when you get movies that are not really interested in the actual plot, they kind of break down. So that's why I just think, I have a lot of problems with how this movie is constructed, but also I think it's fun. I think it's fun how it doesn't give a shit about itself, which, to be fair, the plot's bad. I think the main plot is very boring, but also the movie kind of doesn't care about it either, which makes it pretty interesting when it just does a bunch of fun world building shit.
The main plot is an excuse to build out this world. And I think that's completely fine. The main plot is like, hey, we need a MacGuffin to stop the evil orb. Great. Fantastic. How are we going to get there? Well, this French man's got some fucking ideas about how we're going to get there. And it involves Lilu Dallas Multipass and taking a luxury vacation. And, it's just fun. And then, in terms of the 3-act structure, I just watched Jaws for the first time last week, which highly recommend going to an interactive screening of that movie, because I got to toss around some beach balls. I got to toss around an inflatable shark. And when those two men, Quint and the scientist boy, when they were sharing their war stories or their scars, and they lifted their little pants at each other to show each other their ankle scars, me and my friend that were there, we just yelled, whore! And that was fun, because those two men should fuck. That's very charged character interactions there. But it's like, the first half of that movie is beach. The second half of that movie, action shit on the water. I don't really know if Jaws has like a traditional 3-act structure. I feel like that started to become the default later. Like I feel like we got stuck in the hero's journey and the 3-act structure the more commercial movie making became. Yes,
I think that's true, and is a pretty common and accurate critique of the 3-act structure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to watch something that doesn't adhere to that.
Or adhere to much of anything other than vibes.
Yes, yeah. One thing that both you and I brought up in our notes is that this movie has a lot of factions in it, and that's something that I am always looking for as a tabletop enthusiast. There's the Earth, there's the Earth government, there's the priests / the Mando Shawans, there's the Zorg, and then there's the pirates, the Mangalores, right? There's 4, and then there's like the 5th kind of faction, which isn't really a faction, but it's like entertainment people. It's like Ruby Rod and Plava Laguna. But there's, when you introduce all sorts of different people like that, obviously my RPG brain is like, okay, that produces interesting opportunities for stories. But when you're doing it in a movie, I think it's such a strange choice because you don't really expect all of those people to have fully fleshed out and explored stories or narratives or, anything really. But you get to see them, and I don't know if the same effect is intended in movies where you hint at something. Actually, I'm thinking of Alien, where they show the big fucking they have a name for it, the space jockey, I want to say is what it's colloquially called, but the big fucking thing that where they get the alien from, the big dead alien guy. And until they made the sequels to Alien, that was just like a guy. That was just like a thing that nobody knew anything the fuck about. They're just like, wow, there's a big man here. And his face got exploded, or his chest got exploded. That's crazy. And I think, again, this does go back to, the last couple decades of how we've produced media here in the United States. Whereas like between YouTube and franchisation, there's an opportunity to just lore-ify everything that you see. There's no such thing as a detail that is left to the audience's imagination. And to some degree, I like that there's also all these sort of explanations. I enjoy that kind of categorization, but I also don't think it should be compulsory. And I think it's really interesting that this movie doesn't care that if you know about all the weird backstories. It's like, here's 5 different groups of people with competing agendas. Shrug, go off. If you think that's interesting, write a fanfic about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we'll talk about how Zorg meets his end, but, like, Zorg's end is not Bruce Willis. So, like, Zorg is not Bruce Willis's enemy in this. He's just kind of an antagonist. All the different factions have different, like, visual alignments, right? They all look very visually distinct. And then you have to ask yourself, is this movie the type of movie that this is this story served by adding noise? And the answer is yes. Like, this movie is supposed to be very noisy and big and kind of loud, and it's supposed to be this, like, big, busy world. So yeah, of course. And I think my favorite example of adding noise that has no real explanation is K-pop Demon Hunters, right? Everyone's seen it. Everyone's talking about it. The joke, this is a very inside joke to, like, K-pop fans, but so there's the girl group, right? Huntrix, and you get to know all 3 members of Huntrix. The boy group has 5 members, and very quickly you run the risk of, like, oh god, you have to know all their names, you have to know all their gimmicks, you have to know, like, it's like 9 characters you have to learn very, very quickly. No, you don't. Because what they did was, there's just the main guy who has a name and a personality, right? Gino. And then the rest of them are named after their concepts, but you don't have to know what they're named at all. They're just kind of the Saja boys, because that movie is served in a big way by having these 2 groups competing, because in order to pull off the concept that they're going for, you have to have group choreography. That's how the fights are. The fights are all group choreo. So you can't just have one Saja boy. You have to have all 5 of them. But in order to just not confuse your audience, which is tweens, you just simplify them into a group, give them a visual identity, and then not give a fuck about the details. And that's kind of what this movie is doing too. You have a group, give them a visual identity, they're adding noise, but you're kind of not giving a fuck about the details. And it works, because stories like K-pop Demon Hunters and, like, Fifth Element are served by the idea of complexity, the facade of complexity, while the actual thing is not very complex at all.
Absolutely. At this point, they go to get on the, like, cruise liner spaceship, and there's a convoluted sequence where Corbin and first Lilu go. No, it's not even Lilu. It's David, because David, who is the priest Cornelius's, like, assistant. Cornelius knocks Corbin out at one point. He just, like, clubs him, and because he doesn't trust him, and he says, "David, my assistant, please go escort Lilu." And somehow Corbin is able to catch up to them and basically throws David in the dumpster and is like, "Hey, Lilu, let's go on this trip." And they are, they have the multipass. We get the, Lilu Dallas multipass line, which is very fun. And then they get on this ocean liner, essentially. Then, like, 2 other different people show up and try to claim to be Corbin Dallas, and the poor front desk assistant is like, the aliens do it, the shape-shifting aliens do it.
And then Zorg's assistant does it.
Zorg's assistant, yeah. So it's four different attempts to claim to be Corbin Dallas, and the person at the front desk is just like, very clearly like, I can't believe this is the day I'm having, which is very fun. At this point, we are introduced to Ruby Rhod, played by Chris Tucker, who I learned from the IMDb was at this point in time the most highly paid actor in Hollywood, which is crazy. And
the performance he is giving in this fucking movie, I cannot imagine how tired he was at the end of a shoot day, because he shows up in an outfit serving an unbelievable amount of cunt and talking 500 miles an hour. His tone is all over the place. He's in everyone's space. He's got different microphone props every fucking day. And the way he interacts with different types of people changes on a dime. The way he treats his serving staff, I guess, where they're all just like trying to hype him up, and he kind of ignores them the entire time and sends them away with like a bzz, bzz, right, and a hand gesture, to the way that he is like frustrated at Corbin Dallas for like not giving him a radio performance, right? And he like plays into it, to the way that he interacts with women, right? Because he's like a ladies' man. And the fact is that he's a ladies' man while being kind of effeminate himself, which is, again, I saw this movie very young. I think it did something to me, because like the womanizer, in theory, right? The womanizing archetype is more the Bruce Willis in media at any time, right? But instead you have this kind of effeminate man in like a tight, giant collar, like a tight leopard outfit, and then later like a big rose embellishment and these like different wigs and like a lot of flamboyancy, and he's eating pussy on screen. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, there is a very French sequence where the person that he's having sex with has an orgasm at the same time as the spaceship is launching, at the same time as one of the Zorg's goons is exploded, which is a very, I don't know what effect they were trying to achieve besides like, look at all these different types of explosions, and it was fine, you know, but it is just striking me as very French.
Well, yeah, Arcane does the same shit too, I think in season 1. So, I believe the phrase for orgasm in French translates to the little death. And in Arcane season 1, Jace is having sex with
Mel, yeah.
Mel, thank you, yes. He's having sex with Mel, and she comes just as Victor, like, almost dies. And
I do remember that, yeah. Very heterosexual, normal shit.
Well, listen, it doesn't get very heterosexual in season 2 when they go into, like, void marriage together, but it's fine.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're already laying the groundwork for those two to be coming and dying together.
Oh, yes. But, you know, it's just one of those things where the French love, I don't know, it's just, maybe it's not a French trope, but I'm just saying, if I had a nickel for every time an orgasm counted down to some sort of death or explosion in a French-helmed piece of media, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't that much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
100%. As they get to the planet Laguna, they get to the planet Floston.
They're on vacation, baby.
Yeah, they're on this vacation planet, and they go to, you know, Lilu basically has to go look for the stones. I don't know why they get separated. Do you remember why they get separated before the concert?
Lilu gets, I think, summoned by the divas, Plava Laguna's, like, assistants. And then Corbin, because he won the contest, has to go see the show with Ruby Rhod, who, again, This movie's fucking funny because Ruby Rhod at this point has already interacted with Corbin, and Ruby Rhod's whole thing is that he's always broadcasting, and he, like, is, first of all, they walk through the audience and he's doing the Mean Girls, like, who's who in the audience, right, as he's broadcasting. He points out, he makes fun of a different actor in the audience who's deaf. So he's like, this guy's not going to get anything out of this performance because he's deaf, which you're like, that's a weird thing to point out, but it's Chekhov's deaf actor, because later Corbin needs him to like throw him a gun or something and he's like yelling instructions at him, but he's deaf. So it's played for like, you know, like a little miscommunication for laughs. And then Ruby, again, having already interacted with Corbin, who was like not into this whole like mass media performance thing, turns around and he's like, Corbin, what's your word of the day? Just puts the microphone in his face. And Corbin just says the one word. And like, then they go watch the show. It's like, Chris Tucker brings such an energy to every scene he's in. It's just fun. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, he's clearly having a lot of fun in this, which I think is, I mean, everybody's having fun in this, but seeing Tucker just go completely ham on this performance does make me understand why he was so highly regarded for the time. And I think you have to respect that the man, you know, he acted his heart out in this film.
Everyone did. Yeah.
At this point, we are introduced to the diva Plava Laguna, who is a big blue squid alien looking lady. Sure.
Hell yeah! They make that woman sing opera in latex.
And in you know, it's a full 2 minutes of just like watching an opera performance. I think they may be intercut with Lilu doing something, or the
Lilu
Zorg
is whipping alien ass.
Yeah.
Because
she does a beat drop, right?
Yeah. Because in the first half, it's like true opera. It's like very, very moving true opera, right? Like she comes out and the whole audience is like, I love that they show the whole audience just being raptured by her. Like they're just locked in, including Corbin fucking Dallas, played by Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
He gets to emote on screen and appreciate art. It's crazy. And then she has a beat drop and it turns like kind of dubsteppy and Lilu kicks alien ass. It's great.
It's both very silly in that second part, but also I was just so shocked by that first part because they are giving so much screen time to Corbin's emotional interiority just by showing his face, and he's like near tears. And I think that is it's such a strange choice to show your, you know, male action hero protagonist be so moved by an opera performance. I think it absolutely works, but I've never seen anything like it in in my admittedly limited experience watching film. I just liked it a lot as a choice. I don't even know if it added anything to the story besides being like, hey, Corbin Dallas isn't just some idiot meathead. He can appreciate opera.
It's really good! Again, look what the 2000s fucking took from us. We must return.
Again, when I'm comparing this to something like Star Wars, very, very few times in Star Wars is somebody moved by a piece of art or is able to show emotion, except, you know, that is not either, you know, sadness or anger. Love in Star Wars is not well portrayed. I think maybe the best portrayal of like romantic love is in that 7th movie between Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. And even then, it's not necessarily love as much as like teens that are like a little bit horny for each other. And seeing Bruce Willis just be so moved by this, it just makes me, you know, when I'm thinking about how Star Wars is always 100% so serious, except for the little, you know, Whedonism, you know, jokes that kind of get thrown in there. For the most part, you know, it is such an inversion for this movie to be like, hey, we're going to show you this person experiencing emotion in an otherwise like kind of unserious film. And I don't know why, but that feels like the, you know, most important part of the movie to me.
No, it is. And it's like, it's taking... Fucking Hayao Miyazaki gave this interview forever ago. He's quoted all the time, and I'm gonna probably misquote it a little, but like one of the things he really strives for in his movies are like these moments of stillness. I think the concept is Ma. It's like moments, like Ma is the moment of stillness, and you see that all the time. It's like characters taking a moment to take their surroundings in, or like feel something, right? Well, Howl's Moving Castle has like a scene of Sophie just like staring at the scenery, lamenting being old, right? Or like you get these beautiful like planescapes, or you get these moments where, like, I know everybody makes fun of, like, the characters' like hair will inflate when they feel an emotion, but you get that, and I love those moments, and they're great. And like, from a production perspective, anime does that shit a lot, because you know what? It's really cheap to animate a moment of stillness. So like, taking those moments is built into animation pipelines because it saves you time and money to have a character just be really still and emote for a second. But like, we don't see that in live action film nearly enough. I don't know. I just love this movie. It doesn't make any sense. No. Is it batshit? Absolutely. Does the plot function? No, it's dumb. But like, the things that it does, just as an experience, are incredible. And it's really great. It's a wonderful piece of sci-fi. I wish we had more like it all the time, because it's just fun. I wish, like, we talk about Star Wars, fucking the reason we love Andor so much is because the characters get time to like emote, right? You think about Narkina 5, right? The moment where you get that question of like, how many guards on each floor? Like, that's a moment of genuine emotion that's not quite anger or sadness. It's resolve, right? And like, it's good. Sorry, I'm making a lot of hand gestures, and this is an audio medium. I just need the audience to know I am filling my entire frame with just like excitable hand gestures. I'm feeling a lot of emotions myself right now. It's a good movie.
As you should. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the movie's kind of downhill for here. IMO, like, there's a big... The gunfight's kind of fun, right? We have Chris Tucker narrating this battle with, I guess, Zog's goons. They're just... Or the aliens, I don't know.
Not just narrating. Broadcasting. To billions of listeners. It's really funny.
Yeah, he's having a good time. He's clearly, like, very scared. There's some bits where Corbin Dallas does some fun, tricks with like turrets and blowing people up. It's completely fine action movie shit. Nothing as exciting as Die Hard, but it's fine. And I forgot, Plava Laguna gets shot at one point. Mm-hmm. She's like fatally wounded, and Corbin has to pull the stones out of her body. She ate them, I guess. It's fucking crazy. It doesn't make any sense, but he has to remove them from her torso.
He sticks his hand in her gunshot wound. It's great. That scene is what burned into my head from when I was little. Like, if you asked me about The Fifth Element, prior to like 2015, I would have been like, I just remember somebody sticking their hand inside of a blue alien. And like, I remembered Chris Tucker's kind of whole thing. And then I rewatched the movie and I was like, this fucks. And then I learned who Bruce Willis was, and I rewatched the movie and I'm like, this fucks. And then I learned who Mila Jovovich was. And then I learned more about the way movies are made and the difference between digital and practical sets and all the other shit I talk about all the time. And I keep watching the movie all over again. And every time I find something new to like about it's just, why don't I own this movie on Blu-ray? Who the fuck am I? Oh, God. I need director's commentary. I need to know what that French fuck was thinking.
Anyway, the last 15 minutes of the movie are kind of nothing, in my opinion. They just kind of, Lilu and Corbin go back to Earth, and they go to the pyramid, and they put all the stones together, and there's like a little bit of a sequence where they're like, oh, you don't know how to turn the magic stones on. And then they have to, Ruby Rod accidentally figures out how to activate one by like sighing really loudly.
It's David, the assistant.
That's the Windstone. Oh, it's David, you're right.
Poor David, who doesn't want to be part of any of this and just keeps getting handed responsibility.
Yeah, but they cry on them or something. They have they light a match very precariously. And then they're like, okay, we've activated all the stones. What's going on? And we had previously seen a shot of Lilu reading Wikipedia, but now she gets to the Wikipedia entry for the letter W for war. And she gets really sad. She does the classic sci-fi thing of learning about all the terrible things that the humans have done to each other. And she's like, man, what's the point of saving this bitch-ass planet? I'm so sad. She has a very silly line that's like, I was built for, saving the world, but not for love. And everybody's like, Corbin, you got to tell her you love her. And Corbin's like, I love you. And she's like, yay. And then she shoots a laser beam out of her mouth into the sky, and it stops the orb.
Donuts.
The bit that I had heard.
It's like they remembered what the plot was. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh shit, there's an orb.
And this is why this reminds me of an RPG campaign. It's like, okay, yeah, we got to save the world. You know, I've got my cool X-Major. I've got my cool future warrior lady. And hold on. Who is this man? Who is Ruby Rod? I need to spend the rest of the campaign thinking about him. And then it's like, oh yeah, we should probably finish this campaign, huh? After we spend, 8 different seasons just hanging out with Ruby Rod. And they're like, okay, yeah, Lilu shoots a laser beam out of her mouth and the orb is destroyed. Congratulations, everyone. Wrap it up. It's fine, it doesn't, I don't love it. I think it's a stupid ending. Literally, the bit that I had heard from my brother and me was the fifth element is love, and I thought that was Griffin McElroy making a joke, but nope, just a completely sincere plot point.
Yeah.
So.
Love is a laser beam you shoot out of your mouth.
I'm always saying this. Anyway, they go home, and they're gonna get talked to by the president. The president is going to congratulate Lilu and Corbin, but they're in the regeneration cylinder that Lila was in at the beginning to rest. And one of the scientists goes to check on them. He slides open a little door to look on them, and he closes it very quickly. He's like, oh, Mr. President, they're going to be a couple more minutes. And then the camera zooms inside and they're fucking. And that's how the movie ends.
Movies used to be horny.
I mean, listen, I'm glad that this movie is horny. That's great. Just a weird way to end your movie.
I love it. I think it's great. It's absurd. It's French. It has a certain joie de vivre, if I may. I don't know. If I watched this movie for the first time in 2025 and I was looking for it to make sense, I think I too would be disappointed in it. But I'm not watching it for the first time. I'm watching it for the 12th time or whatever the fuck. It's childhood, and I'm looking for it to serve cunt, because I know that's what it does, and it does that for me, and I'm overjoyed.
We love to see it. Yeah, I don't really have a marketing minute for this. I think it was just a kind of funny, silly. I wouldn't call this a space opera necessarily, but it was like a space comedy.
There was an opera in the space,
right? But, I overall, I don't think it was as dramatic as a space opera can be when you're thinking of that genre. But, did I like it? Not particularly, but I liked a lot of individual elements of it. I liked a lot of what it was doing intentionally. So, overall, I'm very glad we watched this. This is just one of those things, especially as Mortified, sometimes becomes a project for us just filling in gaps in our media watching history. I'm glad we watched it. I'm glad I understand what's going on with the fifth element now. Probably won't watch it again, but very happy with what they produced here.
Yeah, and this conversation was a lot more fun than what we would have produced if we talked about a book we did not like.
Leyla, when we are not working our way through the classics of the 80s, 90s, and today, where can we be found on the internet? You can find me at LEYLSES on Blue Sky and Tumblr. I'm unemployed. If you are hiring an art or cinematics producer, you can hire me. I'm very good at my job. I come very highly recommended. I'm currently playing Hollow Knight Silksong, which is a surprise because I did not play the original Hollow Knight and I'm finding it delightful. And then I will eventually get to my case study on Final Fantasies 7, 8, and 9. Hopefully in the next month or so. Aaron, what about you? You can find me on Blue Sky at AA Voigt, Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, but my biggest thing is on YouTube at AA Voigt, where I talk about tabletop RPGs and make essays and reviews about them. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshco from the album Filmmaker's Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshco.bandcamp.com. How shall we say goodbye to the fifth element, Leyla?
Aaron, I think we're saved.
I'm screwed. We'll see you all next time.